let's say you have a balanced DAC. What's the advantage of using balanced interconnects to connect between your DAC and your amplifier versus single-ended RCA?
Yeah, well, depends on the amp too.
Well, yeah. Like, you kind of have no choice with this amp, right?
Yeah. Well, this happens to be a full balanced amp. And that's a topic of another discussion, but basically it has 4 channels of amplification to give you left and right. It's fully balanced, so it needs balanced in to give you balanced out. But that's a topic of discussion. The point is if you have a DAC with balanced outs or RC outs or both, right? And you have an amp with both RC and balanced inputs, what do you use? We see that a lot. People ask that. What do you use?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Like
That's
everything.
a great answer.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the reality is most of the time it's a complicated one. There's oftentimes very minimal advantages to go to balanced, but there is potentially considerable advantages depending on how the gear is designed. So overwhelmingly, it seems the consensus is if you have balanced available, you should use it. However, the advantages can be pretty minor on some gear that isn't actually truly balanced internally.
Well, I ran into a situation where, I had to run balanced because the amp didn't have enough power, so you want to drive it with the higher voltage of a balanced instead of the RCA. So essentially,
That's true.
pushing the
Some
amp further.
sources, like some DACs, they put out more voltage in the balanced mode outputs than they do the RCA. So that's kind of tricky too. At that point, and you know, the trickiness is there is because you're running 2 different manufacturers' products.
Right.
You're running a DAC made by one company, you're running an amp made by another. And so you never know when you mix and match what's going to wind up. So that's something you got to look at. Best bet is usually to contact one or both manufacturers, let them tell you whether you run RC or balanced.
Yeah, that's not a great answer.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that sort of is the way to go.
Yeah. You know, because, and really that's what you're typically left up to. Whatever's at the end of the balance chain is usually the one that you're going to be looking at. Like, does it sound better balanced coming into it? Like the amp.
Right.
You know, does it work better balanced coming into it? If the answer is yes, then okay, you better try to optimize it for that.
And
if it's no, then it don't matter.
Or if it's like a single-ended amp, it doesn't really matter either way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it just happens to have balanced,
Yeah.
but it's not really balanced internally.
Right. But generally, there's no disadvantage to running balanced on most gear. So when available, usually balanced is the way to go for. But you do see a lot of people saying that the conceptual reason for balanced is vastly superior and all that, and you should always use it.
Although we've tried over the years, both with 2-channel systems, speaker systems, and with headphone systems. Some amps sound better with one input versus the other. And see, that's the thing. Like, it's a black box to most people. You don't know what's going on inside. What are they doing with the balanced input? Are they converting it to single-ended? How are they doing that? And, you know, or vice versa. If you're running an RCA, are you crippling the sound because the manufacturer of the amp paid particular attention to balanced in? So again, you know, it could go either way. We've had, and same with sources too. We've had people talk about sources like DACs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sounds better RC out than balanced. So it's a tricky topic, and there's no right or wrong answer. And you know what the reality of it is?
you got to ask the guy that designed the gear.
Yeah. And you know what? He might not even know because it depends on the guy you talk to. The reality of it is you're going to have to try both yourself and settle it right there and then in your system with whatever you're listening to, and that's it. That's the solution. Try it.
That is the ultimate solution, yeah.
You need to try both. And I realize you might have to buy 2 sets of cables to do that. So be it. All right, whatever. Get some Amazon specials and
Yeah, they're pretty
just for
cheap.
experimentation and see what you hear. You know, go from there. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves.